Okay, so we're at Union Grove Cemetery, which is Canal, Winchester, behind a bunch of shitty condos right off of 33. But there's some interesting stuff in here. We're kind of interested to see what it is. So we usually start off by just sort of cruising around real slow. Hey, there's a Zinc. We cruise around, see what we like, and then we usually park and kind of wander through and check things out and try to understand what the space has to offer. We're seeing some older stuff there. So anyway, kind of interesting. Oh, it looks like this might be a death house up here. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what this is. So that's 2 death houses in one day. That's kind of cool. And this one has like a very jail-like front on it. Just guess you just don't really want them getting out, do you? But anyway, so it's a pretty cool looking little cemetery. We'll check it out. Okay. So we're going to check out the inside of this death house. So looking at it, I mean, it's just brick. It's not glazed brick. Doesn't look very fancy. It's got sort of a modern type roof on it. And this door is cool. But let's go in here and check it out. It's got some supports in here to make sure it stays up. We think these are grave blankets. Some stones here. There's a wooden door up here. Probably, maybe not the original, who knows. Look at this rad roof.
Yeah, I think it would have been like shelves to
place the bodies on. So anyway, this is kind of a cool one. Probably a little bit more modern than the last one we saw. Just want to show you guys how good I am at pulling off of the driveway. It's really quality job I've done. But what you don't realize is there's actually a marker right in front of my car, and I wanted to stop so that I didn't run over it, because that's not a nice thing to do. So here's an older section. A lot of interesting stuff here. Nothing jumping out as incredible, but some older stuff. Older section. 1853. That's pretty old. It's pretty old. And is this our JW? Because these look like they were redone as well. This is probably a modern stone based on the way it looks. More modern anyway. Because for instance, look at these. To show you the difference. So I've talked about this before, but you can see here that there's a lot of yucca plants, and yucca are extremely common in cemeteries. They are kind of cactus-like, and they're extremely hardy, and a lot of times, and you'll see them very frequently, black cemeteries or poor cemeteries where people didn't have money for stones, and they would plant these as sort of remembrance. But you see them in the richer cemeteries too, but it's just something that if you didn't have a stone, you could potentially put one of those down, and that would be a way to mark the grave. By the way, if anybody wants any yucca, I have lots of them in little pots. So let me know if you want some. So just want to show you, we talked about that rose symbolism in one of the earlier videos, and you can see that she died, and it appears to be her 85th year. So we have a full bloom rose. So she lived a nice full life. So no hate to these people, because, they're probably just nice people. But this is actually a cremains monument. So instead of being buried here, their cremains are ensconced inside there. It looks like maybe E. Carl is still alive, but these tend to look a little tacky in my opinion. And the other thing too is, if you again, no hate to these people, because whatever, to each their own. But something I do want to say is this laser etching that you see on a lot of these more modern ones, they just don't hold up. These pictures, they're beautiful now, but 50 years, 100 years, they're not going to be there. And it's really unfortunate, because you see more and more and more of these, but really it's not the way to go anymore. They don't last. So here you see that zinc right there, that zinc. And then if you look across here, there's actually quite a bit of old stuff in this cemetery. Lots of stories here. And if we had more time, we might be able to find some, like Stevenson here. Maybe a banker. He's got a money sign. Probably can go on Find a Grave and find some information about this family because it's a whole family plot. So I just want to point out this little plaque here. It says perpetual care. And essentially what that is that some cemeteries, oh, this is a nice big woodman over here, but some cemeteries will offer, basically, you can put money into a trust and they will care for your monument forever so that it never gets in as terrible shape as some of these other ones. But anyway, this is probably a woodman. Let's look around. So you see a lot of these wood version. I'm looking to see. It's a pretty beautiful monument. It's pretty large. But woodman, which you may be familiar with modern woodman, which exists now, is an insurance company, and there's woodmen of the world, and they would go around like the catalogs, like Sears and other places, and sell essentially insurance policies to people who could get these monuments made. Here's another woman, a bird with a full bloom rose. Looks like she might have only been 48 years. Maybe, I'm not sure what year it looks like, but she looks like maybe she's only 48 years, which to me isn't a super long life, but maybe they consider it to be so. So looking at this zinc here, and then look at this guy. Yeah. Dangerous. Yeah, see how much that moves? Super dangerous.
I almost feel like we should disassemble it.
Yeah. Because it likely when it topples, it'll break too, and that's also not good.
A controlled fall is so much more preferred. If this was our project, we would take this down, and even if we couldn't put it back up right away, at least the pieces would be preserved. Like, we'd photograph it really good to make sure everything was going in the direction it was before, because that's a pitfall. You'll take something down, you'll be like, which way was Sally's name? And so it's good to take good photographs first, take everything down, and then start building it back up from the bottom.
Yeah,
that's gonna fall very soon.
Yeah, I would say easily within the next 3 months that'll probably be down. Next big storm. Next week. Yeah, I mean whenever the next big wind comes through, that's definitely very precarious. And the sad part is that will probably break that obelisk.
And potentially hurt somebody.
Yep. So, unfortunate.
You know what I'm thinking?
Hold on. What are you thinking, Wendy?
I don't think these are original.
Yeah.
I think these are a later addition because
maybe those columns broke originally. What was originally there?
Because these aren't attached.
This is a perpetual care, so chances are that whatever column was there deteriorated enough, and they replaced these with this.
This is marble, and then these are more modern granite. So the eras don't match. And as I said, these are not attached.
Yeah. Notice this is a dialy, and if anybody's familiar with the Canal, Winchester, Pickerington area, Dialy Road. I don't know if there's any connection. However, this is a fairly large monument, so it's entirely possible. A little bit of Googling might tell you. A little bit of, oh, look at these Detroit Tiger fans. Oh, these are dialies. I'm not sure why they have this fancy D. I guess maybe that's just a fancy D. Probably not actually Detroit Tigers. This is the kind of monument I just want to clean. You come out with a little bit of D2, some water, and like a plastic putty knife, and just get all of this off. And I bet it would be like bright white when you were done. Well, that's the thing about D2. You spray it on, and you gotta leave it on for a while. It doesn't immediately turn things white. Over the course of time, things get more and more and more pristine. So it's not instant gratification by any stretch of the imagination. I turn, and this is what Wendy's doing. This is why we come together. It doesn't have a head. Where's its head? Poor bunny.
So very fresh.
Very fresh, and was just laying here?
Yeah, it was just sitting right here.
So either somebody does not like
a predator is coming back.
Elias Chester, or somebody's coming back for their dinner.
I'm gonna hope that is a dinner situation. imagination and not a...
Some hoodoo. It is Friday the 13th. I mean, come on.
You never know.
This is why we like going to cemeteries, because you really have no idea what you're going to come upon. Also, while I'm standing here, I don't know if you can see, another one of the little arches. Those are some of my favorites. This one is beautiful. It's kind of getting washed out. I don't know if my camera will pick it up. That is a hand, and you can see that the cuff, this is a female cuff. This is a full bloom rose and an I don't know. I'm not good with flowers specifically, but let's take a look. Children of Geo and Annie Hendren. Safe within the fold. Doesn't this look like a generic name that they might put on like a like on a credit card ad or something? Harry R. Lawyer. So another common theme of our trips is that I tend to go and find the car while, because we get really far away from the car in some of these rural cemeteries, and try to find Wendy afterwards, which can be really difficult. But I usually try to move the car a little closer to wherever our next area in the cemetery is going to be. And I don't know if I can do it up here, but there's like a hill that she's kind of moving towards over here. Everything's backwards for me, but anyway, so I'm gonna go move the car. Two things occurred to me while I was moving the car. One, that I did have a wardrobe change sometime in the course of these videos, and that's because I just got too hot. And secondly, I'm probably gonna get some crap for filming these in the vertical lines, but you know what? It's so much easier to hold the phone for long periods of time, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Sorry. Shosh. Shosh? Shotch? Shachach? Shach? Shoch. Shach? Now this is beautiful, and it's amazing that it still exists. Not a perpetual care. It's missing 2 of its columns. So precarious. And dangerous, might I add. And it's going to be a damn shame when that tumbles. Luckily, oh, it's Schrock. I wonder if that has anything to do with Schrock Road. Doctor? But when that tumbles, it'll be sad, because that is a really beautiful piece. Another little zinc here. 79 to 80, 1-year-old. She took her flight to the regions of light. Pearl and Grace. They lost 2 babies, basically 2 years in a row. Really beautiful. And the shame about this is that over time it's lost a lot of its detail. But you see this wreath in her hand. That would have been pretty much exquisite back when it was first done. Take pictures of her feet. We get lots of Instagram likes of her feet pictures. Creeps in their feet. But no, really, it's beautiful. Something I wanted to mention over here. This is not the ball, but this makes me think of a ball that is in... Okay, so there's a monument, and I don't know any of the names off the top of my head. I don't have any memory. It's not a thing I have. But in Marion, there is a famous monument with a giant ass ball on it. This ball is so large they need specific equipment to be able to move it, but over time it moves. This is not that ball. But definitely look up the one that is in Marion, Ohio. I don't know what cemetery it is. It's like the biggest cemetery there, I think. And it's got this ball that is giant. It's bigger than this one, I'm pretty damn sure. And it moves. It legitimately shifts itself and turns. And it is a wild mystery that nobody can figure out. And they've even had to bring out, like in order to move it back, they've had to bring special equipment just to move it. Again, not this one, but it just put me in mind of it. And I thought it was a really cool thing. Friday the 13th. And might be worth looking up and checking out, especially if you're near the Marion section. Oh, this is a beautiful couple here. Again, this is a kid, 4 years old. It's a shame. It's a beautiful stone. Probably another child. I can't really read it though. Just a real quick note about broken pillars. Generally means a life ended short, which I think is true of the Reverend Trustin Polk Newberry here. Looks like his life was a little too short. But, well, oh, their son next to them. But yeah, anyway, when you see a broken column, it usually means a life ended early. Another woodman, pretty large one. Not quite exactly the same as that other one, but pretty similar actually, with an extra base. I don't see the woodman symbol on it anywhere. A lot of times you'll see a little symbol that indicates that it's a woodman, but it probably is. Okay, what were you saying?
Well, I'm just curious if this was just sort of a half-ass attempt at a rural cemetery cemetery, or if this was more spectacular and over time some of the cool features have just kind of gone to the wayside, and the management of it now is kind of
curious.
Yeah, because you can see they've crammed in a lot of new burials in the middle of the more historic sections, which is, you know, it's hard to do that in a way that maintains the design of the cemetery. So it ends up looking cluttered or kind of tacky.
So if you follow our page, you may have come across the concept of rural cemeteries before. So essentially what rural cemeteries are is parks, yeah. So the Victorian era was obsessed with death. They love going to cemeteries. They spend a lot of time there. They picnicked there.
Yeah, but like there's no trees here.
Yeah, there's no trees.
It's got the pretty rolling hills, and it's got like the landscape is very pretty, but it doesn't have some of the hardscape features you would expect to see, like the wrought iron fences, or evidence that there had been. And there's maybe like 3 trees here, which for the era would be extremely unusual. So, you know, whether those were never here or taken out by choice or necessity, who knows? But the actual landscape is right, but I don't know.
Not sure what's going on over here. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is that rural cemetery movement was actually where they stopped using like graveyards and cemeteries in cities and shifted them to these park-like settings slightly outside of the cities, where they could go and they could have like a day or an afternoon and really enjoy themselves. And for the record, because I'm like this, the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard: a cemetery is like this. You can have family plots, it's large, it's usually something that's sold. A graveyard is attached to a church and is typically single plots where they just buried people as they died next to the church. People that were part of the congregation, people that were part of the area. So that is the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard. Now, I think we've pretty much exhausted this particular cemetery. I don't know what else we're going to do for the rest of the day, but maybe there'll be another video. If not, I'll just type something in the comments.